So a lot of people are saying that, hey, yeah, of course it was meant to fail. Nobody wants to see all this wokeness. Nobody wants to see all this forced diversity. Is that really the case of why this movie underperformed? Short answer, hell no. Fact is, there are so many factors as to why this might have underperformed. Hey everyone, my night of sit-down comedy is coming up very soon, March 28th at the Broadway Comedy Club. And once again, it looks like it's going to sell out. So get your tickets by going to doubletoastedny.com or go to doubletoasted.com and click that banner right there and it'll take you where you need to be to get your tickets to the show. So, you probably heard by now that your girl was a disappointment.
Hello? Is there anybody here?
I like, boy, did they time it like that? She said, hey, anybody here? And they said, hi ho. Start attacking. Folks, this is Snow White, of course. Snow White brought in about 44 million domestically at the box office this weekend. Underperformed. They were expecting, I think, at least about 45, 46, something like that. And of course, all the people who were naysayers about this, because from the beginning they said, what y'all got that brown girl in there playing Snow White for? But that's racist.
Yep, that's the problem.
That's the problem. Well, this wokeness is getting out of hand. Damn, characters who have white in the name, you can't even let them be white no more. What is going on, man? This is stupid. You're the real racist, not us.
Yeah, you can say that again. It sure is stupid.
Well, the white tiger is Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Him too. You see the problem?
Taking everything.
Taking all this whiteness from us, man. You talk about us being the appropriators, the vultures. Talking about us being the colonizers. No, that's y'all brown and black asses right there. No. And we ain't taking it no more. And that's why people woke up to this wokeness you got here in this movie, all this diversity you forcing down our throats. That's why this movie failed right here. Mickey, Disney. Nobody wanted this, and yet you just shoved it up our asses. How dare you? Racist. How dare you? So a lot of people are saying that. Hey, yeah, of course it was meant to fail. Nobody wants to see all this wokeness. Nobody wants to see all this forced diversity. Is that really the case of why this movie underperformed? Short answer, hell no. All right, come on. I mean, that's what you want, and you're going to spin a narrative to make it that way, no matter what, to get the whatever answer or to get whatever reality that you do want with this. Although I think that we can all agree probably that some of Disney's diversity efforts are bullshit, but we'll talk about that later. Fact is, there are so many factors as to why this might have underperformed. And while the reviews are bad, I will tell you this, the audience score for this kind of proves that, yeah, nobody was worried about any kind of woke thing with this. Nobody was bothered by that. 74% of people went to see this and gave it an approval rating. So, I would say that probably helps to debunk the whole theory that wokeness and DEI and diversity or whatever bullshit name y'all took, had an effect on this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I just don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I heard it got on the cinema score a B+, which is low for a Disney remake.
It is low for a Disney remake. Could have been worse, but it is low for a Disney remake. That cinema score right there, the Rotten Tomatoes audience score shows that the controversy, whatever the controversy is, whether it's because Rachel Zegler said something and Disney had to scold her, production problems, people not getting along on set, or wokeness or whatever. It goes to show that none of that controversy, as far as audiences when they went to see it, didn't really have an effect on them.
Yeah, a lot of audience will go and not know about any of that.
Yeah. But what are some potential factors that did affect the box office of this film right here? Because it did underperform. It is not getting great reviews out there. So what are some things besides people complaining and trying to make fake controversies or trying to fit some political agenda that they have? What is it that could have affected this film? got some reasons right here, and welcome anybody to come in, with your own and tell me what you think. But I'll put some of mine out there. And this is going to seem a little petty at first, but just deal with me. One, it just did not look like a good movie, and I blame it on those dwarves right there. Now, a lot of people are coming in and thinking like, oh, everybody wants to blame these dwarves. And believe me, I wouldn't go in and do it myself if I didn't think that was the case. I don't like how they look, but I'm not making it personal. The thing is, the dwarves think about it. The dwarves are the real star
100%.
of this movie.
Those were the ones who I was buying toys for back in the day.
Yeah. When you think about Snow White, you think Snow White and? Because that's what this was. It was Snow White. Everybody keeps saying, and the 7 dwarves. When you think about that old movie, whether you're a purist or whether you just saw it yesterday.
Which I did.
So, and we'll talk about this sometime probably. We'll probably do a retro review of some of this one at one point. But Snow White is not the real star of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's those dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes for those dwarves, man. And the remake, those dwarves, and that's what I said in the review. I said, you get used to it after a while, but they have no appeal. You want to go in and have appeal for these characters. You want to love these characters. You want to gravitate towards those characters. You don't want to get used to them.
They look like Russian nesting dolls.
Yeah,
just like smushed down.
Yeah, there's just nothing appealing about them. Now, maybe if you were making Lord of the Rings or something, yeah, that might work. But these designs, they kind of push people away, And if you don't hook the people with the dwarves, then you lose a lot of your audience, I think. Another thing that a lot of people probably heard about, because bad word of mouth heard this, speaking of the dwarves, it eventually got around, a little spoiler here, Dopey talks. And people hadn't even seen the movie because I've seen the reactions online where people are like, wait, what? So, probably bad word of mouth didn't help this. So what's left is, I think, just another bland looking remake that can't be sold on Snow White or even the villain. Because Gal Gadot in this, she was, she's not getting the best reviews either.
Nah, I wouldn't think so.
Nah, I don't know. That's one of my points right there. I got a few more, but what do y'all think about what I'm just saying right now, or anything else?
Well, I was waiting for you to bring up like the whole diversity hire thing, because I just looked it up. You know how much The Little Mermaid made opening weekend?
What's that?
$95 million. And I'd be willing to say, I bet if Snow White was black in this, would have done way more at the box office.
Why do you think that?
I think that it would have appealed to a different demographic. For sure, it would have gotten their attention. And the people who were ready to get mad at it wanted to see it so they could be pissed.
Well, you know what?
I somewhat disagree with that. In as much as I think The Little Mermaid made so much more money because Little Mermaid was part of the Disney animation renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about the age bracket. Like rewatching Snow White last night, I was like, well, she was the first Disney princess, but that's not a movie that there's certain generations and generations that went back and rewatched it and they're kind of cut off. And you start with the Disney Renaissance, those are the movies that are still fresh to a lot of people, even like adults who are like, oh, I grew up with this. You gotta watch it, where they don't have that same connection with Snow White.
You just made one of the points I had. Thank you. Because I have this written down. You can see, even where I wrote this down, it was my third point, but we might as well hit on it now. These live action remakes are a crapshoot. Mm-hmm. And I think probably the further you go back, the more risk that you're taking.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get lucky, man, because, the movie's actually good. It's probably a property that transcends Disney. Mm-hmm. Jungle Book. Mm-hmm. Jungle Book has had so many adaptations. People know, it's still culturally relevant stuff for a lot of people. Yeah. It's had so many, done by so many other studios. But there are some others out there that, okay, to your point, and we talked about this earlier. Maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was somebody else. But you go outside, with the exception of something like Jungle Book, you go outside that 90s Renaissance, mm-hmm. that second golden age, mm-hmm. you might be on shaky ground.
Yeah.
This movie did worse. Snow White, it did worse than another movie that was pretty low, opened up terribly. And that came from an earlier period. And that might have something to do with besides the movie being mediocre, just being from a period that a lot of younger people don't really recognize or know very much about. It probably contributed to the low box office of this film.
What's happening? Where are they taking her?
Take Dumbo back inside.
But she's his mom. Do something. He needs us. Look at me.
That's Dumbo. Dumbo opened terribly.
Yeah.
Now, compared to something like Lion King or even Mufasa, which started out low but has some legs, that's more recognizable by a younger generation. Everybody knows the Lion King. Not a lot of kids are going back and watching Snow White.
Right. Yeah. And rewatching it, it's such a simplistic movie. It's 128 minutes.
Yeah.
There ain't much to the story. And I admire the fact that they were like, we got to add more to this. Yeah. But at its heart, Snow White doesn't have that same appeal to other people because it's just like it's over so quick. And it's the whole princess looking for a prince. It's antiquated. There's only so much you can do with it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of wiggle room.
There's not. For all this movie's faults, I was like, well, my hat's off to you because you had a difficult job and you tried to do what you could. But to your first point, it doesn't look like a must-see movie.
No.
And like to be a musical, I'm going to say it's a half-ass musical, but it's a three-quarters ass musical.
Yeah.
And we just had Wicked, where they went all out.
Yeah.
So then you come in with this and you go like, well, some of this looks good, but it doesn't look like it's going to take me away.
No, it
And
does.
it's not nearly enough of a fresh take for this.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you know what? And that is very true. It's not like a movie that you need to rush out and see. That brings me to my second point here. Well, third now. My second point was going to be the marketing didn't show anything that looked different from the original. Now they did do some things that are different, but from the marketing, you wouldn't know. Purists and fans of Disney, they're already turned off by the dwarves here. So they're thinking, why go out of my way to see something that looks the same, but is not as good as the original?
Soulless.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they had said, okay, this is our strategy. We got the original Snow White, but we're going to do something fantastic with it. And we're going to really blow it out and market it that way. Like, hey, this is Snow White like you haven't seen. And boy, stuff we got planned. But this is more like we're bringing, we got a Snow White. Come check it out.
Exactly. I mean, think about some of the things that people gave Disney credit for. Even if they didn't like the movie, they said, we give you credit for at least doing something different. Think about Cruella.
Yeah.
Maleficent. Those are things that took, a completely different spin on a Disney character. And they just didn't do a bunch of rehash.
And they put a smidge of modernization in there.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah, and people were curious to see this. I don't, Cruella wasn't even released theatrically, I don't think, was it?
I thought
It
it
might have
was.
been on Disney Plus.
Maybe.
Or maybe something. I don't even know if it was Disney Plus. I don't know. So I felt like maybe we got a screener at home.
We did.
Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I knew people who saw it and they would have seen it in the theater.
Yeah. But yeah, whether you like the movies or not, people admired them for like at least being doing something different. I think just that alone was marketing enough to make people curious enough to go see it. People like, man, I've seen all this before, and I watch without these damn goblins here. I watched it. And the first one is, man, listen again. Whether you know about it, whether you like it, whether you hate it, the reason why it works for majority of people because it's a simple movie. There's a magic in its simplicity. I think this one kind of took something and made it a little more complicated than it needed to be. But that a lot of people saying, if you're gonna throw stuff in, just people are starting to say, hey man, I kind of respect Snow White and the Huntsman now. They're like, shit, at least they tried something completely different.
Yeah.
They weren't playing it safe and yet trying to throw little things in the same. But no, look, we did our own thing. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, goddamn it, shut up. The other thing is maybe people are getting tired of this trend. That brings me to my fourth point. It just could be that people are getting tired of live action remakes. Because you got this one now, and Disney that was their trend for a long time. But now you got a lot of other people who were trying to get in on the act.
They've killed hundreds of us!
And we've killed thousands of them! Toothless, no! He's a friend!
You know, that's the live action How to Train Your Dragon. Now everybody's trying it.
Yeah, that's
You know,
true.
And I'm not gonna lie, I think that looks terrible.
Yeah, you know, but see, that's the thing. People are like, man, we have these movies that are fine. You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
They're actually more than fine. They're great.
they're great, and they haven't been out all that long. Like,
Yeah.
like How to Train Your Dragon. It's like, what? Really? Is this necessary?
No, that's what people I think are starting to realize. At first, look, you put it out there, it's kind of novel. Jungle Book was cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's a cool experiment you did and it worked. Now that, you know, we're on Dumbo and Snow White and all that, people like Pinocchio.
Yeah.
People like, all right,
yeah. Oh,
all
geez.
right, God damn it, all right.
Forgot about Pinocchio. Hated that.
Oh,
movie.
it's dog shit. But it's a thing where, like, even if they aren't angrily like, psychologically in the back of their head, there's that, like, it's just another product. I
Yeah.
might want to see
Yeah.
it. I'll take the kids to see it, but it's just another product. And, and we got Disney. What are we paying for Disney Plus for?
Exactly.
Just stay home and wait.
And we'll have to wait and see. You know, another thing that I forgot to mention, another thing that that a lot of kids are going to recognize, and it's probably going to make it a success, is a trailer that just came out. And I hate to say it, but it actually looks fun to me.
It's bad.
Sometimes family isn't perfect.
You know, Lilo and Stitch.
That's Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
that's
Okay.
yeah. Actually, the trailer is kind of it's cute. It looks good, but that's based on the power of the original.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
also that trailer for the live action Lilo and Stitch movie, that confirms that it's deviating from the original. Like there are really good gags in that trailer like that that are not in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when he ejects the CD and throws it out the window and causes a car crash. That's
Yeah.
not in the original.
Yeah.
The director of Marcel the Shell is doing that Lilo and Stitch live
Oh,
action. So
man,
there's a good chance.
Yeah, it actually looks it looks like a lot of fun. I watched it and I hated having to say that I actually enjoyed this. Believe me, I didn't want to feed into that at all. But you know, that's why I say it's a more recent film. We'll see how people respond to it. It might be people are getting tired of the live action remakes until you just pick the right one.
Sure.
You know, when you start just doing a slew of them, just going in and just scooping up movies and just saying, hey, we got more.
Something like Snow White, you probably have said this, but you take the animation out of it, it's not special.
Yeah, there are some things where this just not. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I hate to keep harping on this, but I talked about the fish and Little Mermaid, and I'm talking about the dwarfs. It's just they don't have that same magic. They don't have that same appeal. I don't know how you would fix that in live action, but that ain't it right there. You know, I don't know.
I love your impression of Flounder. Oh, yeah, that's great.
Hey, Ariel. Hey, what are we going to do today, huh? She's like, who you looking at?
Looking at you, man.
But that's the thing, he's underwater. He doesn't need to blink.
Well, he at least looks somewhere or something. The whole time he just kind of floating and looking at him. I don't get it, man. I hated that. Little Mermaid, I was a little softer on. Maybe I'm being a little rough. I can't stand this movie. I gave it a rental just because I want to be fair, but I think it's not very good at all. But, you know, that brings me to number 5, regardless of how my feelings about this, what my feelings are about this. You know, just looking at it from a fair and practical point of view, maybe this didn't do well because it's what we've been saying all along. Theatrical releases just aren't what they used to be.
I consider that a lot because we had last week where nobody was going to see anything. And there's just weeks where people just are not into going to the movies.
Yeah. You know, last week was spring break. Some people, you know, there was a time when all you had was a theater, or mostly what you had was a theater. Man, listen, regardless of what people were saying about this movie, Disney would have opened up $100,000. I mean, $100 million. $100 million easily with something like this. Today, you know, we're in a different time. Theatrical competing with streaming, social, YouTube, TikTok. It's competing with video games. I mean, there's just too much choice out there. And sometimes people will flock to the theater, and then sometimes they just won't.
Sometimes they just don't. And, you know, times and trends change. And you just have to roll with it or recognize that. I think about like the people who predict where they say like, well, it didn't meet projections. But I was like, when the weatherman tells you it's going to rain and it doesn't, you get mad at the weatherman. You're like, hey, it's your job to know.
Yeah.
But when a movie doesn't meet projections, people blame the movie. And I'm like, what about the person who made this projection? Because they are the ones who aren't taking all the factors into their figuring.
Well, I guess I guess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because projections are usually on the nose, but, you get exceptions like this. I don't know. I just think that I thought that was unplugged. Thank you.
But you said that it made how much?
44 million 44? Domestically. I think 80 million.
They were expecting what?
45, 46.
That's not that far off.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, it's still because 45 was already low.
Yeah.
So every little bit that they take away just kind of like because Disney don't do all right. Disney's like we want to do
Disney
amazing.
Didn't do all right, but now they're they were always like because they were the giant for so long. Anytime they falter, and it's like oh man. But it's like okay, look, Marvel, Star Wars, this now. It's just you have to at some point accept that like it's not yesterday.
Yeah.
This is the new reality.
Yeah, it's just theaters. We're in a weird period where it's unpredictable. We just don't know how a movie's going to open. Mm-hmm. Something like Spring Break could play heavily into like a movie not doing well. That's when this came out during Spring Break. People are, they're just not going to the theaters like they used to anymore. Another thing that could probably be something about Spring Break and people not going to the theater or at any other time too. That window is closer for when things are getting released.
Yes, things are out of the theater so quick now.
Yeah, and even then, if you want to, like, it might be expensive. It might be like $30 or something, but you're still at home. Like 2 weeks later, you'll see something on your TV saying, "Hey, it's available now."
Yeah,
it's still in the theater. We don't care.
Yeah,
you didn't go anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we were just talking about it before the show how media has just in general become extremely disposable. It's like, oh, maybe this will be big for a week, 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But a week after that, there's another huge thing or whatever.
Yeah. Yesterday, it's just like, hey, Wicked's on Peacock. It's like Wicked that was just in the theater and was up for Academy Awards, and now I could just watch it on Peacock.
Yeah. Somebody said Novocaine is probably out this week. Mickey 17 will be out. So yeah, stuff goes out. If it doesn't perform like it should, it's going to be available at home, and a lot of people just say, "I can wait." I got enough here to keep me busy.
I got enough going on.
Yeah. As for diversity, unless anybody wants to add anything.
No.
As for diversity, yes, there's a lot of racist assholes out there, a lot of sexist people, and a lot of homophobes, a lot of obias and isms, and a lot of disgusting people out there who want to see things fail just because it's different. They don't want these people to be featured. If it don't look like me, I don't want it. People are just selfish and despicable and nasty that way. But Disney ain't helping. They're not. Listen, if you race swap a character, you're already setting it up to be heavily scrutinized. But then you make it a bad movie.
Yeah.
And it only fuels those people who were going against it for the wrong reasons anyway. Mm-hmm. Man, I've always said, don't use diversity as a gimmick, because that's what they would do. They were using diversity as a gimmick, and they used diversity as to cash in on what they saw as a trend. Because I can guarantee you, the moment diversity ain't trendy, they ain't gonna do it. All those good intentions are gonna be gone. Disney is full of shit just like anybody else. I don't, thank you for the attempt. And I guess it's better out there than not. But man, I always said, just make, give other groups a chance by letting them tell original stories. And I know nobody's doing originality because it don't, that's a risk. But, or feature them in, in stories that don't seem like it's disingenuine, because the way they do diversity, man, it's not authentic. Right. Not at all. Like I said, they're going to do it to the point where it's safe. I've said this over and over again, but I'll add some other things. You're not going to see a black prince, even though, the white princes, a white prince can have any woman he wants in these movies. You're not, colorism plays a big factor here. Your darker characters are sometimes they're either going to, at most, your darker character is going to be there to assist the main character. some magical Negro shit, or are they just gonna be in the background and doing nothing? That they like they did in this movie.
Yeah.
Looking like they're on their way to Coachella.
Well, that's another. Those costumes were terrible, man. Those costumes. That man got on jeans. He got on jeans and a hoodie. Look at this shit.
He's wearing the same shirt as Martin.
Yeah. That dude. Yeah, that dude has the shirt that both. Man, there's two people that went in Martin's closet. But nah, man. You know, like some. And yeah, there were some white characters in the background too. But like my man here, he didn't say a word. That woman right there, she didn't say a fucking thing. It's terrible writing, by the way, no matter what color they are. But yeah, you know, you see a color like colorism play a lot into these things here when they're supposed to be so diverse. So I don't buy that at all with Disney. And if you're not doing it for sincere reasons, people gonna smell it, and anybody who's a critic of it is gonna attack. You know, I'm a critic of what they're doing, not like the racists are, but you know, I just don't think it's authentic.
Well, you know, if you don't like something and it fails, you feel justified. Like, see, but think about how many times you didn't like something and it succeeded beyond expectations. It's like, look, it's random. It happens.
Yeah. But I know. But I'm just saying, no, I don't. You know, I'm just talking about diversity. I don't buy it. Don't think I don't see the phoniness behind it too. Shit, they did the Nutcracker. Somebody just brought up, because I remember complaining about that. They had the Nutcracker where the girl in the original Nutcracker story, she falls for the Nutcracker prince when he comes to life. And shit, they didn't let that black Nutcracker get near that white girl. He might as well just been her butler, her caddy, her assistant. Yeah, so it's bullshit. But even though the diversity attempts might seem like bullshit to me, I still don't think that this movie suffers from any kind of wokeness, and I don't think the box office of this movie suffered from that. No. You know, I don't think anybody cared. Nice try. You'll use that. You'll use that to make your argument, no matter what. Conservative outlets, they'll run with that, but it's bullshit. That's not the case with this. There's so many other things.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
And maybe you don't have an answer, but suppose Disney came to you and they asked you, we want a new Snow White. And maybe it can be live action, maybe it would be animated, but how would you go about doing a new Snow White? Like, what if they said it had to be live action?
You know what I would probably do?
Fuck you.
No. Cast a black woman. No, what I would do is, and hear me out, because I'm not harping on one point here. It seems like I am. But I would take those dwarves, I would redesign them to have better appeal, and then I would do something different. Like, let's see what happens with the dwarves after Snow White's gone. You know, let's continue their story. See what happens. Let's learn more. Because in the story, you know, they are the stars, but they're still there to assist Snow White. You know,
that would have been funny to have the movie be focused on them, and then like a woman breaks into their house.
Yeah. You know, they have the original story that you could probably see that. Now you get into public domain. If you want to like cash in on the Disney Snow White, I would continue the dwarf stories, man. You know, I would actually make them go into their background a little bit more, go into their stories a little bit more, go into their relationships a little bit more. I don't know if I would do an origin story, maybe a continuation, but you know, I don't think that's ideal, but that's just the first thing that popped in my head that I would,
it's something you'd have to think about. Would you cast real actors for the dwarves, or would you make them CGI?
So for all the people that are complaining about, and I told Martin this, for all the people that are complaining about not using real little people for the dwarves, my argument to that was they clearly say that they're not human. And I don't know if I want to like cast little people and refer to them as not being human just because they're little. Because I mean, what else would you do? You know, you take some little people, you put some beards on them and some funny hats, and then you
could maybe put some makeup on them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Prosthetics. Bless you.
Well, yeah, thank you. You know, it's like Lord of the Rings. Everybody was a different class of being. Yeah. And, you know, humans and elves and dwarves were considered different classes.
Yeah. But I don't know. You know, I mean, it would be. Listen, I would love to give little people work, so I think I would probably lean towards doing that, because I think it'll be hard unless you did like something where the world, lean more cartoony, it kind of be hard to like do live action without doing something like this.
Yeah, you could do a hybrid, like
Yeah.
put some makeup and CGI it a little bit.
There you go.
I would take what they did and take those computer artists and say, this is a good first draft. We're gonna go at it again.
Yeah.
Man, make these look better, more human, and more animated. And these writers, you guys got to step it up. You got to really give them personality and make them fun.
Yeah.
They are the movie. Because being told the movie is Snow White, you're not thinking of making the dwarves the movie.
Yeah. No, that's why I think it's another thing that kept people away. It was called Snow White. People were like, man, no, where them dwarves at? In fact, put them first. 7 dwarves and Snow White. Yeah, what would you do?
Not this, I can tell you that.
Yeah, no,
I think that I would take a more grounded approach and maybe lean more into musical, make it just a complete musical.
Okay. All right.
Because it's hard to not nostalgia bait with Snow White, but you'd want to step away from that, I think. Like, I saw that shot of Dopey with the diamonds in his eyes. Gotta have that shit in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Well-
that is only awesome because it's animated.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
very sure somebody's going to send this to Disney, our discussion. They'll say, boys, that's some good ideas you got.
Finally.
Let's try this again. Next year, you'll get a new Snow White.
Yeah, it being a fairy tale like it is, I'd go straight Broadway with the thing.
Wow. There you go. All right, y'all. That was our discussion. Hey,
Man, rewatching the old Snow White, I think here they really with the end, because that ending is badass.
Oh, yeah. When you're talking about when they killed the witch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
those animals killed her.
Because I was thinking like it was gonna go on, she'll get away as villains usually do, and then come back later, and it's like they settled that shit right there. Yeah, and she herself trying to jump that boulder. on
Yeah,
them,
exactly.
And that lightning said, "Enough of this!" Wow, and
Yeah.
she just went down to her death. I was like, "Oh damn!"
Yeah, man.
that was powerful.
The original might feel outdated, but it's an amazing film. I love it to this day. Well, would you look at that? You made it to the end of the video. That means you really like us. So just go ahead and press that like button and subscribe while you're at it. And check out our other channels, our social media like Instagram, TikTok, and our Patreon where we have new stuff coming up all the time. And we'll see you on the next video.